So I couldn't be any more fired up and honored to be with each and every single one of you for the Daily Doses Monday Motivational Series. And I got a story for each and every single one of you that is gonna blow you away. Talk about fired up. I'm gonna share a story with you about when I shared the stage with Ray Lewis. This was part of our Intentional Greatness Legacy Tour. It was a special stop here in St. Louis, my home. And what I witnessed from Ray Lewis in a private setting before we went into the big ballroom at the Ritz-Carlton blew me away. When I received the phone call from NFL Hall of Famer Aeneas Williams about the opportunity to share the stage with Ray Lewis, I immediately said, of course, Aeneas, we're gonna put this together. We're gonna put together an awesome event and we're gonna bring some fire to the city of St. Louis. But after I hung up that telephone to say yes to the opportunity, I called Will Compton, the starting middle linebacker for the Washington Redskins. Now I knew, having worked with Will, he's become like a little brother to me, since he was an undrafted free agent out of Nebraska, it was his dream to meet Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis was like the mentor he'd never met in his life. I mean, you're a starting middle linebacker in the NFL, of course you want to meet Ray Lewis. So I pick up the phone and I call Will and I say, Will, your dreams are about to come true. You are going to meet Ray Lewis. And he's like, come on, man, I'm not going to meet Ray Lewis. I said, yes, you are. I said, have I ever promised you something and not followed through? He says, no, you always follow through. I said, then put the date on your calendar. You're going to meet Ray Lewis. All right, so picture this, everybody. Ray and I are cutting up, having a good time, sitting at the cigar club at the Ritz-Carlton, enjoying a cigar, some good conversation before we head into the ballroom for the event. Will walks into the cigar club and he and Ray lock eyes. They meet, they shake hands, exchange some pleasantries, some great conversation, talking some NFL football. And then Ray kind of walks off to a table to get himself ready. And then Will goes to sit on this couch, this leather couch. And I go and sit next to Will. We're letting Ray get prepared. And the next thing you know, have any of you ever watched a Ray Lewis video? I mean, you talk about fire and passion coming from a man who's won 2 Super Bowls, a Super Bowl MVP, and now recognized as the greatest linebacker to ever play the game. You know the passion, the fire, the conviction I'm talking about. This intensity he gets in his eyes, if you've ever seen any of his pregame speeches, on-field videos. Well, I witnessed it live right in the cigar club at the Ritz-Carlton. Will and I are sitting on this couch, Ray's over at this table, and the next thing you know, Ray pops up. And the story I'm about to share is gonna be the difference for you on your journey. The difference for you to take it to the next level in your life as you write your story. Ray gets up from this table. He walks right over to this couch where Will's sitting, and he gets down just like this. Hands on his knees like he's getting ready to suit up to walk into another NFL game. Like he's got his pads on, like he's ready. And Ray looks right at Will Compton. He says, hey Comp, you ready for me to take you to school? You ready for me to take you to school, Comp? I'm about to share with you the difference that I found for me to get to the next level in the NFL. He said, you see, Comp, my first years in the NFL, by breaking down my own game film, here's what I recognized. Now here's the key for each and every single one of you. What Ray was talking about was breaking down his own game film. You have an opportunity in your life with all the past success you've had. You've fallen down, you get up, to break down your game film, to find your difference. Because when Ray talked about breaking down the game film in his life, that's when he was referring to finding the difference. And he looked at Will and he said, when I broke down my own game film, it's the moment I started accepting responsibility for myself. He says, because Will, what I knew was everything I always needed was right here in my heart. But I had to break down the game film to recognize that my first few years in the league, I was playing 4 yards off the line. And from 4 yards off the line, I was nasty, Comp. But what I recognized from breaking down the game film is when I moved up 1 yard to 3 yards off the line, they didn't know what to do with me, Comp. And we know the rest of the story, don't we, Comp? The fire was coming out of his eyes. Will Compton had fire coming out of his eyes. And I sat back speechless. It takes a lot to make me speechless. And I sat back speechless. And I thought to myself, I just witnessed mentoring at its highest level. I just experienced greatness at its highest level. And I just experienced what might just be the difference for you. You see, what Ray Lewis was talking about was caring enough in whatever you do in your life to go find your yard. And when you find that yard, to identify the decisions and choices you're willing to make to bridge that gap to be the best that you can be. So the question I have for you is, when is the last time you took a couple steps back to break down your game film to find your difference? That 1 yard for Ray Lewis was 2 Super Bowls, a Super Bowl MVP, and the greatest linebacker to ever play the game. That mentoring will change Will's life, how he approaches the game. That changes my perspective to constantly be looking for the yard, to always find a way to get better, to improve every single day. So what do I leave with you? I leave with you a question. Do you want it bad enough to find your yard, to identify what will be the difference for you on your journey? Because if you want it bad enough and the purpose is big enough, you will never stop fighting.